Welcome to our presentation on what is the role of human geography in the changing world. Throughout this presentation, we're going to draw on 5 areas and questions that will help us answer this main question. These will be: what role do you think human geography plays in studying relationships between gender, nature, environment and the body? To what extent do you think urbanisation has an effect on physical and mental health? The changing patterns of different societies and how this has an impact on health, gender in different societies and gender and health in the future. To help us answer these questions, we're going to use our interview we did with Professor Jo Little, as well as drawing on her paper, Running Health and the Discipline of Women's Bodies. We're going to argue that in the changing world and the gender stereotypes and norms, geography can be used to analyse patterns of experience around fitness and place. We will also look at the differences in gender experience around the world and how fitness changes across different cultures and how this might be expected to change even more in the future.
The relationship between health, exercise and gender is a complex issue with many different aspects and influences. One key aspect highlighted by Professor Little in our interview was the role of the performance of gender in relation to exercise practices. She emphasised that different genders will have differing goals in how they both present and shape their bodies, and this difference is reflected in their approaches to exercise. These goals are shaped by numerous factors, including societal pressures, cultural influences, and the acting out of expected gender roles. Human geographers' study of these gender roles and their associated pressures in society helps us to understand how women view their own health and their relationship to exercise, and how this relationship is evolving with the continual shifting of gender roles in a changing world.
The term urbanisation is closely related to the changing world, and the extent to which urbanisation has an effect on health and fitness is often discussed within human geography. In our interview, we discussed this question and this term, and we came to the conclusion that urbanisation does have positive and negative effects on health and fitness. For example, Jo Little expressed that people in their area of study live in the countryside around Exeter, so urbanisation towards fitness and health isn't that big of a deal. As well as of gyms and outdoor gyms, as well as home gyms and new technologies coming out, like running machines, means that people can exercise and become more healthy in their own comfort of their home. However, she did say that growing urbanisation does link to gender within geography, and that females can feel uncomfortable when running in open, crowded spaces, which comes with urbanisation. And a lot of people feel more comfortable when running in green spaces rather than urbanised areas. A term which follows closely behind urbanisation is pollution. And with growing urbanisation will lead to greater pollution. For example, more cars on the road would lead to a likelier chance of people getting breathing difficulties, which then has a significant effect on health and fitness. So overall, there are significant effects from urbanisation on health and fitness. However, there are ways around it in order to improve our health and fitness. So we can take away that with development and technology, urbanisation will not have too big of a further effect, but there still are problems there to be solved.
COVID-19 has also had an impact on the relationship between health and the environment, as people have had to change the way they interact with the environment on a regular basis, and the current circumstances have had large implications on how people manage their health due to the lack of access to certain spaces. The pandemic has redefined our relationship with space in the personal and professional aspects of people's lives, and geography plays a significant role in understanding the extent of the pandemic's reach in terms of this relationship. Through the interview with Professor Jo Little, she emphasised how the importance of sports and fitness are being recognised more than before, as lockdown has encouraged a view of exercise as leisure in addition to fitness. Furthermore, more people have had the opportunity to connect with their local environment due to the lack of other options available to them. Despite these opportunities presented from the lockdown restrictions, team sports being stopped is one example of how health has been negatively affected, as the reduced activity and social interactions may take a toll on young people's physical and mental health. Geography is interested in how the current issues change the patterns of relationships in space, such as the connections between health and environment. Geography is also important when looking at the uneven distributions of the virus across places, as it can analyse patterns to assess and address the inequalities with solutions.
I focused on gender in different societies because Jo's article and research was based on 8 women in southwest England, and we wanted to explore if her findings would have been different in different societies with diverging understandings about gender. Firstly, Jo highlighted that her results may not have been as different as expected, seeing that Western standards of gender are globally impactful. We saw this displayed through Paige Schneider's work on the difference in participation in sport between middle and higher income societies. Schneider's article shows how there has been congruence in the change in gender norms across societies from as early as the 1970s. And Woodward and Cannell note how looking at these changes help us to reflect on broader cultural shifts concerning gender. However, Jo also highlighted that although change may be occurring, there are still very different interpretations of gender globally, and boundaries for gender performance, like religion and culture, may mean that in some countries, running is not seen as an appropriate form of exercise for women. Paige Schneider's work also reflected this, showing how female boxers face additional barriers to participation, and how community and religious leaders may see female boxers as a threat to shared gender norms, displaying geography's impact on gender. We see how, although gender norms, understandings, and performances may differ according to society, the gap between Western and Eastern understandings of gender seem to be closing slowly over time, and geography is helping us to not only explore this gap, but also the rate at which it is closing. Following on with the theme of gender, the next few slides look at the relationship between gender and health and how this may change in the future.
The final idea that I'm going to explore is what will happen to the relationship between gender and health in the future. We expect the connection between health, gender and environment to change in a number of ways throughout our lifetimes and beyond. Currently, the relationship is a spatial one, both in terms of physical environment, but also viewing the body as a space. Human geography plays an important role in studying the uniqueness of these spatial relations to health. As gender is performative, it can be expected to change greatly based on current societal standards. We already explained previously that gender and expectations vary across different societies, so as cultures develop and change in the future, the meaning of gender will continue to develop and change as well. The role of human geographers here is to identify which societal constructs influence gender the most, and how physical spaces may change to match these patterns. For example, Lavassie et al. Found in increasingly urban areas there may be more gyms created to fulfill fitness goals rather than encouraging running outdoors. A possible result of this would be an increase in female-only fitness communities, as gyms for women are made more common. Lavassie et al. Also brought forward the idea that human geographers could identify this change and the areas where most women-only gyms are created. This could then be related to increased crimes against women in certain urban areas and where policing or other safety measures should be increased. Therefore, many important societal patterns can be identified by human geographers and lead to a safer, changing world overall, all from the relationship between gender, health and environment. From this presentation, we have a number of closing remarks regarding the role of human geographers. The main role of human geography in a changing world is to identify the changing patterns between environment and people. This can be done through different contexts and many real-life examples. For instance, changes over time, between places and between genders can identify many important links in our world. The example we looked at, using the work of Jo Little, was the relationship between environment and exercise, particularly for women. This relationship overall tackles a variety of issues of inequality. These inequalities arise from different experiences and goals for men and women surrounding fitness, safety and exercising in different places, and how current global changes can impact the role of exercise in daily life. From this relationship, we have found that the role of human geography is to identify inequalities and demonstrate where they take place the most in our rapidly changing world. These geographical studies can lead to a better and safer experience of our world for future generations. Thus, human geography plays a vital role for the betterment of our world overall. Thank you for watching our presentation. I hope that you found it informative. Please refer to our final slide for a list of the references we used to aid our research. Thank you.